All right, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean. We have an interview this fine Thursday night. It's a little chilly here in Duluth, Minnesota. We're sitting at a negative 18 right now. So, what better thing to do than to sit back and chat with another gamer and a game designer? Mike, do me a favor, introduce yourself, tell the world who you are and what you do.
Thank you. My name is Mike Larimore. I am a freelance game writer. I have been for about the past 10 years. I primarily write for a company called the Design Mechanism. Yes, I actually wrote one of those books that's behind your head. I wrote Destined. And I've wrote for a few other companies over the years, but I'm currently launching. I just launched a Kickstarter for my own game system that I'm calling Scale Mail, which is available on Kickstarter right now.
We'll
So
make
thank you for having
sure. Oh, my pleasure, sir. We'll put a link in the doobly doo. That's what I call the show notes.
me.
And
Okay.
Matt Colville calls it that too. So clearly I'm in good company, or maybe he's in good company. But yeah, so I got introduced to Mike here. I didn't know I was a fan of his work until I mentioned to our mutual friend Jason Duff from Heroes and Hardships, Earl of Fife Games, that one of the cool games that I really like. Someone had brought up a conversation about they wanted a supers game that wasn't D20 based or wasn't, what was it? It was like wanted something with a good skill system. And I said, well, Mythic, Mithras, the design mechanics guys, they have a game called Destined. And of course, nobody knew what it was. And I'm like, how do you not know? I mean, there's a lot of people that know it, but the people in general, weren't on my channel, were not aware of it, even though I've reviewed it. And so anyway, that's when Jason said, "Hey, I can put you in touch with Mike if you want to interview him." And oh, by the way, he's got a Kickstarter. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And so thus we are here at this moment in time. So Mike, welcome, fellow Grognard,
Welcome.
uh,
Yes.
Knuckle Dragger, all of
We were
those.
comparing dice before we started, so
Yes, and mine's bigger, but
it
it's
is.
not about whose is bigger, right?
It
Um,
lights up too, which is a little weird, but
the ladies
yeah,
like it.
yeah. Well, they can find it in
Whatever.
the dark. So
And at our age, I'm blind, so hey,
yeah,
whatever help
yeah,
I can get, baby.
yeah. I know. So
It's good to have you, sir. Thanks.
good to be
You've been
here. I
pretty
appreciate it.
prolific on the channel, so I thank you for that. Obviously, you're a soon-to-be publisher, right? You've always been a staff
Yes,
writer or a freelance writer.
yes. I kind of fell ass backwards into freelance writing. It was interesting, and I know some people have asked me how it came about, and it literally was about having a conversation with a creator. Um, it, we were having a long conversation about the first season of Netflix Daredevil and the hallway fight. And I said, I was a fan of Mithras. And I said, yeah, I think Mithras would be great. I think it would actually be a great superhero game. And he's like, well, why don't you write it? So it kind of led to me writing an adventure for them, which introduced a super power system. And then it kind of went from there. So, I mean, I haven't written a ton of things, but I've written a bunch of stuff for Destined. I've written something for Mithras' sister game, M Space. I wrote for Mongoose Traveler, which kind of blew me away because Traveler was my second role playing game after Dungeons and Dragons. So that was kind of a dream come true. So it just was one of those things that I think a lot of us get to that point with when you're creating stuff that you think, maybe I should try my hand at my own thing. Over the years, I've created, lots of campaign worlds for my groups. I've created little mechanical systems for things or hacks of other games. Um, and I just started putzing around and trying different things. And, I think for a lot of people, and I think when you really look kind of the market out there, that a lot of us, especially we've been playing D&D for a long time, we reach a certain point with D&D where we start to say, I like it, but I've been
But
playing it for 40
30
years.
years, yeah,
Yeah.
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of I'll tell you the exact moment that it happened. I was running 5th edition Curse of Strahd for my group, and I'm reading the module before we get started, and I looked at it and I could see the matrix. I could see exactly how it would end. I could see exactly what spells they would probably use to defeat Strahd. I could see that Strahd, technically, if they got all the right stuff, stood no chance. And I just kind of thought, wow, that kind of affected my enjoyment of things. So, this whole thing with scale mill was kind of like, okay, if I did a D&D game, how would I do it? What would I want in it? What would I want to see? How would I want it to play? So that's kind of how we came to this. And then, the idea of actually doing this, like publishing a game, it's so much easier now. And I appreciate that we're at a point in our industry where you don't have to know somebody to get into a game company, or
Right.
set up your own little sign and start your own company. That you can put stuff on Drive-Thru RPG, you can write 5th edition supplements, you can there's so much stuff out there, it's wonderful.
Lulu
So
Press. I mean,
yeah.
Kickstarter, backer kit,
Yeah.
GoFundMe. I mean, there's a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
So as a new publisher, obviously, Jason's given you a hand with everything.
Mhm.
How's and the Kickstarter is live right now. I did back it. I'm at
Yes.
the
I appreciate that,
$15.
thank you.
I'm at the $15 PDF
I
level.
appreciate that. Yep.
I just wanted to check it out, and then hopefully, are there plans to have like a website where you can buy it after the Kickstarter, or is it only
Yeah.
a Kickstarter?
So Jason has been
Duration?
wonderful. I will say that right off the top. He kind of has been holding my hand through a lot of this. He has a lot more experience with his own game, Heroes and Hardships, and his own books he's written for other systems like Dragonbane and 5th edition. So he's an old hat when it comes to the publishing stuff. And that's something where I had no experience with. And so, he kind of took me under his wing, and we kind of formed a nice publishing partnership that, kind of my fledgling company, Curse 20, is associated with his Earl of Fife games. So Earl of Fife will actually be the ones, like, if you actually go on his section on Drive-Thru RPG, the quick start for Scale Mail is there, and that's where the
Underneath it,
actual
yeah,
book
under
will be there whenever.
Earl of Fife, yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
it definitely makes it a lot easier when you're first starting out to have a friend and a partner who is willing
yeah,
to
who
help you.
knows how to
Yeah,
navigate, yeah.
yeah,
Now,
it's good.
what's the Kickstart sitting at right now? Because it's only been going for,
Um,
like, 3 days, right?
yeah, it was a very modest goal,
Right.
because I'm not looking to expect people
You don't
to
wanna
plop.
be the next Monty Cook? I mean, come
I
on.
I'll be happy to.
Right?
Yeah, if anybody wants out, please back the game.
Yeah,
Be nice. But I didn't come into this with unrealistic expectations.
yeah.
I'm
But it's already funded, right?
Yes, it funded within 2 hours.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's sitting at about 250% of the funding goal. So it was a small
Awesome.
goal, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things that, I've invested a lot of my own personal treasure to kind of get things off the ground.
As most game designers and developers
Yes.
do.
And I could say at this point, I pretty much recouped my losses,
Yeah,
my costs. And that's fine for me. It would be great if it made a ton of money. If it
right.
doesn't, it'll still be out there. We'll do the grassroots ring, get
Yeah.
people interested in it. I've got a lot of positive feedback from people who have seen it and tried it. Um,
I'm gonna
so
run it, so
I appreciate it.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
run it on the channel because part of my Patreon, $5 a month, shameless
Mhm.
plug,
Hey, it's your
is
channel.
that
You should plug all you want. So
right, shocker that.
I know. Yeah.
But what I like to do for my Patreons is I typically run games,
Mhm.
every quarter or sometimes every month. It just depends on what my schedule is. And my Patreons get first shot at the game, and all my
Nice.
Patreons are denoted on my Discord channel, so they all know. Everybody knows who the Patreons are. They're green, the publishers are blue.
Mhm.
So and I just gave you access to the publisher so that you
I,
could post.
I
And
appreciate that.
Jason being this super awesome guy he is, he was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
my buddy's got a Kickstarter that's going off. Is it okay for me to post it in the publisher's channel?" I was like, "You don't even have to ask, dude. That's what it's for." So not that but the shtick here with Mr. Mean Speaks is that I support the little guys.
Yes. And I appreciate
There's,
that.
yeah, I'm not aware of any channel that specifically supports games like, uh, Scale Mail or companies like Curse 20
Mhm.
or Earl of Fife Games, or everyone's out there talking, Pathfinder, Paizo, and D&D and
Yeah.
DCC, and but nobody's talking about the little guys. And that was my
Yeah.
I've been doing this since 2007. I think I posted my first video,
Wow.
which was, I believe, my very first video was, I think it was Mutant Chronicles
Mhm.
by Modifius, when they got the license and they did a Kickstarter way back when. And if it wasn't that, it was Dungeon Crawl Classic, because
Yep.
both of those are a huge fan. I've got over 600 videos up. So, and it's just and obviously I cover a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Well,
um
and I'm glad that you do that, and I think there should be more people out there because there's a ton of great games out there that just don't get press. Nothing against D&D, but they've got Hasbro behind
right.
them, so they
And
have.
that's my beef with like Monty Cook, because Monty Cook can go to any publishing company and go, I want to produce a book, and they'll go, okay.
Yeah.
If you, Mike, walked into that same publishing company and said, I want to produce a book, they'd be like, we need $25,000 up front,
Yeah.
because they don't know who you are, right? And the fact that Monty Cook uses Kickstarter as a pre-order platform just annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's fair, when he doesn't need to do that. He can
Right.
produce a book and throw it out there, and it will sell, just because of the fact that his
Well,
name's on it.
yeah, and you see a lot more companies doing that now. These
Oh, it's
big companies
horrible.
doing it.
Yeah.
But then you have something like I was a big fan of Simon, their board games, and sometimes that backfires because then you kind
A
of
lot of
overextend
times.
your.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and I can tell you, like, I remember years ago, like this would probably been like 2014 when fifth edition launched, and I got to go to Gen Con that year, and there was a publisher that I had stumbled upon his game, and it was a great mechanic. It was a card-based RPG. It was very clever. The cards kind of did all the work. He had these like multi-sided cards that had different mechanics and different things. So hit location, everything was kind of built into these cards. It was a really good game. And I said, I'm going to Gen Con. If you want, I'll demo it for you while I'm there. So demoed the game, got a good response. He had a good Kickstarter, but he kind of overextended himself.
Mhm.
He was a first-time publisher and he was new to all this. He didn't have the big company support, and unfortunately, the game never actually came to fruition. And it was a shame because it was amazing. I still have it,
Yeah.
because he
And
never.
that is, I mean, and here's the thing, Watsy debuted Alternity
Mhm.
at Gen
Oh,
Con back in 96, I think it
mm,
was. And I was lucky enough to go to the premiere, and I got the special black cover that just said
nice.
Alternity, and that is the precursor to 5e.
Well, and if you look at Scale Mail, and it's interesting that you bring up Alternity because I love Alternity. It's one of my
Well, I
favorite
like the
games.
old Alternity. I don't like the new
Yes,
Alternity.
I back the new Alternity, and I can say
I'm
the same thing.
sorry.
No, you're not. You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
They
It's a
did.
great fire starter. I mean, if you ever run out of heat, you can burn the book.
Well, yeah, where you're at, probably that actually is important. But if you look, the dice mechanics in Scale Mail have DNA of Alternity because I
Mm.
just liked that mechanic. I was actually very upset when we were doing the D&D Next playtest that preceded 5th edition, that they actually did have a version of it that used a D20 plus another die. So you didn't have
It
a
would have
static
been
modifier.
so cool. We have all these dice. Let's use
Yes.
them.
Yeah. I mean, aside from like weapons and, even most spells that use D6s.
Yeah.
So really you could do D&D with only a D20 and D6 and,
A
you'd probably be
D4.
just fine. Yeah.
And that's all you need. And
Yeah.
that's it's part of the reason why I'm a huge Savage Worlds fan.
Mhm.
Is you use all the
Yes.
dice. The GM uses a D20. Players hardly ever have to use a D20, but they use everything else, and they use
Yeah.
multiples of it.
I love Savage Worlds. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite games.
I just got my Lost Colony in the mail. It
Nice.
came today. So I put out a quick what do you call it? Short or whatever on YouTube about
Mhm.
the review coming soon. So I was actually reading it when I was chatting with you.
Yes.
But
But you're right. It's kind of that same thing. And I specifically designed Scale Mail that you use every die.
yes.
At some point, it's always going to come up because like you said, I have that whole set of dice. I don't want to just have them all sit there. And it goes to any character. It doesn't matter like what character you are. At some point, the way the mechanics work is that you're probably gonna have a modification that you're gonna need your D4, you're gonna need your D8, you're gonna need your D12.
Mhm.
So it's all
Use
in
them. Use
yeah,
them. You got
right.
them. Use them.
Mm,
I love a D. I don't mind a D20 system. I mean, I
mhm,
actually like it. My if I was to design a game, and I threaten this all the time, and I just won't do it because I don't have the mental capacity to do it. But I
mhm,
would do a D10 system.
mhm.
I don't know if you know of a little known game called Degenesis.
I've heard
Um,
of Degenesis. I don't
yeah.
have it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Oh, I oh, I have it. I
What
have the
what
collector's.
don't you have? I think that's probably the better
Uh,
question.
that is, I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of D&D stuff.
Do you
I have the
have
original.
Silver Age Sentinels D20?
I do. It's on the shelf
Okay.
right over there.
That
The
I
Land
just
of M. I have that.
yep.
M.
I
M.
will tell you,
M.
Silver Age Sentinels D20 was probably my favorite superhero game. I mean, I played Marvel, Marvel Face Rip, back in the early '80s. I played a ton of stuff, but I have a real
Yeah.
soft spot for the D20 version. The rather version of Silver Age Sentinels was good too, but
Yeah.
I had a soft spot
I
for
have
that.
Silver Age Sentinels. I mean, well, first of all, my first love is superheroes.
Yes,
So there's very few superhero games that I don't have.
right.
I have
Same
DC
here.
heroes. I have Marvel superheroes. I have Guardians, if you know that
Hmm.
one by
I
Star
do. I have
Child.
Guardians.
I
Yep.
have Guardians, and I have the comic book supplement.
Hmm.
The first, I had the second one, and I lost it in my divorce.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry you had
ex-wife, boxed up everything. I had about this much books. I had everything from World of Darkness for vampire and
Yep.
werewolf, everything. And she wound up selling it all on me.
No,
Neither
I
here
see
nor
that.
there. But yeah, I've got Big Eyes, Small Mouth. I've got, obviously Savage
Mhm.
Worlds, superhero supplement, both versions,
Yeah.
Swex and Suede, Destined,
Mhm.
which I really like. I just can't find anybody to play. Uh, it's a D&D world and a Pathfinder world and
It
a
is.
Savage Worlds world.
It's that's a very interesting thing because when you bring it up, it's hard to find people. My group's always been good about it because they're stuck with me, so they're kind
Right.
of sometimes
My
stuck with.
group too, because
And back in the day, I could pull out the Marvel superheroes game from TSR, and we would people always want to play that,
yeah,
but for whatever reason, we love superheroes. We're just getting sick of them so much that with the movies and stuff that it's hard to get groups that want to play a superhero game. And I thought,
yeah.
it's all a power fantasy. Your
It's
10th level Dungeons and Dragons character is just as much of a superhero as like Captain America or Green Lantern.
exactly.
So,
Um, I was pleasantly surprised when I watched the Daggerheart
mhm,
um, special where they did the superheroes. I forgot what it's called. It's based off a video game.
mhm.
Anyway, and I'm hoping that they'll release a superhero supplement for it.
Yes, I will say Daggerheart's one of those games that I got and I would definitely like to try.
I
Um,
run a Wednesday night game. It's an open
all right,
seat.
keep that one in mind because I would definitely I've been wanting to try it. It's been sitting on my shelf. There's a lot of games that have been sitting on my shelf, but
I
you know
know the feeling.
yeah, this has been my focus, and it's kind of one of those weird things. It's like I don't read a lot of stuff when I'm writing, and I
Mhm.
do that intentionally because I don't want
Right.
to accidentally
Plagiarism is a thing.
yes, and it was kind of weird because I like got to the point with scale mail where I was finished with the first draft of the document, and
Yeah.
and that's something I'm kind of glad the book's done. We've been play testing it for a couple years, so I'm still doing some tests here and there. But then, I finished that, set it down, had a friend slap me a couple times because I'm the guy when I write a game system, I'm just constantly like second guessing myself and go, well, do you think this core mechanic really is a good mechanic? And maybe we should do this or do this. And he's like smacking me. It's like, it's good. Shut up.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Don't fix what ain't
Um,
broke.
but then I kind of, then I sat down and read Daggerheart because I was done with it. And I was kind of intrigued because I thought, oh crap, I'm kind of using the same monetary system as Daggerheart or a similar monetary system.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal, but the thing I always think with with, I kind of use the same thing where I think there's some different terminology, but it's like I have a single coin, a pouch coins, a bag of coins, and a sack of coins,
Yeah.
and those are the measurements. But that actually came from a very good friend who unfortunately passed away a couple of years,
Mm.
and he had run a campaign, and that's how he did all the money. So
Yeah.
I was
Makes
thinking
total
about it.
sense.
Yeah, it was simple. It was real easy to keep track of, and I kind of thought, I want to put something in there to honor his memory.
Homage. Yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of
Nothing
where it
wrong
came
with
from.
that, man.
No, and it's kind of one of those things that I think that's for all of us when we're creating games is that, you know, you end up borrowing elements out of things. Like you talk about Monty Cook, however you feel about Cipher System. I think Cipher System's interesting. I haven't got to play it, but it's kind of one of those things um, that I like the idea of the player forward system. I like an idea as a dungeon master, and I've for a long time of my career, I've got saddled with being the perpetual dungeon master, and yeah,
I
so
know.
which means we run good games, but it also kind of means like I'd like to play, but
Yeah.
um,
I go to
no,
conventions to play.
exactly, yeah, and that was my thing is I like the idea as a game master of basically just sitting there and saying, okay, I'm just going to tell the story, and the actual things I need to worry about in terms of, you don't roll dice in the scale mode if you're the narrator, the dungeon master.
Yeah.
I like the idea of games like that where your job as the game master is to tell the story and drive the narrative and engage your players. And sometimes, if I'm looking through books looking for, complicated stat blocks for a monster, or somebody wants to know the quality of the tile on the roads of Waterdeep, which there's always players out that who are like, well, tell me about how the cobblestones feel. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, fine, whatever. um, it, I
Okay.
like, yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I like the idea of just being able to sit there and run the game, and just have that thing.
We have a cycle in the gaming industry, I think, and Dungeon World, Vampire the Masquerade did it, right? Everything
Mhm.
up before Vampire was D&D clones of some kind, right?
Yes.
Vampire was truly, it broke the mold,
Yeah.
and on top of that, it brought hot chicks to gaming, which no one's ever going
Yeah.
to complain about that, and then we go a couple of years, and then we had Mutants and Masterminds,
Yes.
Mutants and Masterminds. Green Ronin, did
Mhm.
what is their game?
Dragon Age.
Dragon
They,
Age,
and then
the
they did
age
the
system.
Age games, and then they
Yeah.
also did the excellent True 20, which I think
Yes.
people forget about. But
Yeah.
True 20 was a good
And
system too.
True 20 was a good system, and it was very uh, different as far as in the gaming industry. We have a lot of alternative lifestyles and
Mhm.
people that think differently. And True 20
Mhm.
was one of those games where it gave a voice to some of those gamers, which I think is a good thing. It's
Yes.
I'm a grognard, and I'm black and white, and I don't have much tolerance for weird things, but I get it.
Mhm.
And you in this industry, the one good thing about gaming is you can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be a leftist, you can be a a rightist, you can be a Democrat, you can be a socialist, you can be whatever. It doesn't. You can identify as a
Mhm.
popsicle stick. You can go to a gaming convention and you will find somebody
Mhm.
to get along with, and you can sit down at a table and no one goes freak,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
weirdo, but if they
Yeah.
do it in a good way, and you can
No,
play a game
it's
with like-minded people and have fun. You can find your
right.
tribe, you know.
That was kind of my thing. I debated because a lot of game books have that stuff in there now. Where they talk
Yeah,
about,
which is annoys the shit out of me.
well,
But that's just me. I'm a
my
grognard.
my rule is there is one paragraph in scale mail, and it's not phrased this way because I also kind of designed the game hopefully to be an all ages experience, that it's designed for people like us, but it's simple enough that a younger player could read. So I try to make it pretty PG,
Right.
but I just call it my "Don't be a dick" rule. You know,
Exactly. That's all you
if
need to
you're
say.
right, if you're ruining the experience for somebody else at that table, you're missing the point of what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Whoever they are, accept them for what they are. They need to accept you for who you are, and then we're going to pretend to be an elf and
Right.
have fun
And
and
here's
shoot
the
some
joy.
pretend goblins.
You don't even have to accept them. All you have to do is
Yeah,
agree to play a game.
be civil.
I don't like people with short beards.
Oh,
Okay, I
damn it.
don't have to look at I know jerk.
Uh,
But I don't have to look at you while we play the game. I can look at your
right.
token or your
Yeah.
miniature, and I guarantee you by the end of the session, I'm going to find something that you did that is super cool, or you're
Right.
going to find something that I did that's so, and it brings people together. And that, I
Well,
mean, we've been doing that since the caveman days. Collaborative
yes.
storytelling is all it is.
And if you think about it too, even within a group, even separating all the the individuality thing, you got the people who just want to be there to kill shit. That's the only
My
reason
group,
they're
my
there.
home game is they want to kick in
Yeah.
the door, kill the monster, take its
Yes.
treasure, and move on to the next room, which is
Yeah.
why Daggerheart for my home game failed. They all
Right.
enjoyed it. They enjoyed the game. They love like the hope and fear. They like
Hmm.
that mechanic. They like spending the hope. They
Yeah.
did not, they didn't like the storytelling aspect of it. Like they're
Yes.
all guys over 40,
Yeah.
married. Only one of them's not married, and they're all Magic players, so they want that instant gratification,
Yeah.
because
And
Magic
that's
is.
fine.
And to be honest,
But
and
then you
now we're
also have
playing Savage Pathfinder, and they're getting that because I'm throwing in a little story,
that's a good
but the
system for it.
mechanics facilitate it because it's fast, furious, and fun. And so
Yeah.
and that's why I'm hoping from Scale Mail, because I think it's gonna be my jam.
That's kind of what my goal was, because and then you have the amateur thespians too, that are part
Sure,
of your
and there's
group too.
nothing wrong with that.
No, and and
One of
and
my
I think
players is the amateur thespian, but the rest of the group shuts him down.
right, and that's kind of what I think. You need to have something that's flexible enough for both.
Mhm.
That's simple enough for both, and kind of like that same philosophy. Because like I'm a Savage Worlds fan. I love
Yeah,
Savage Worlds. I think it's a great game. It's one of those rare games that you literally can just use the core book and that's it. Yeah,
yeah,
the other book, if anything, I would say sometimes I love the companion books, but good God, sometimes there's so much stuff in there. Like I have the science fiction
yeah,
companion's amazing, but I'm
right.
looking at all the options and I'm kind
Makes
of
your
going,
head spin.
oh, yeah, it's
Well,
like
and
I
here's
I have,
the,
I have paralysis.
sometimes games like what Scale Mail is going to be, games
Mhm.
like Age do a really
Mhm.
good job. Um, Daggerheart, there's a
Mhm.
lane, and you're in that
Yeah,
lane, and you can
yeah,
branch out if you want to, but you don't have to. You want to be a fighter that just hits shit and hits it really hard,
yeah.
play a warrior.
Well, and
You and that's
that's
good.
that's the goal, and
Yeah,
that's the kind of inspiration I took for this game too, is the idea that I want one book first of all. I want people to be able to pick up the core rule book and play the game they want to play without needing 20 different supplements to do it. I tried to keep the pricing fair because I know it's difficult for a lot of people right now. So, we try to keep the
what was it?
pricing low.
30? Is it 35 for the
Yeah,
hardback?
it's no, it's 45 for the hardback, 35 for the
35 for the
soft cover,
softback,
and
15
then
for the
15 for
PDF.
the PDF. And the reason because I was debating about doing the softback, and I thought, no, I want a cheaper option for people.
Yeah,
It's not going to affect me much in terms of my printing company, but I want something that if somebody doesn't want to spend that extra $10 to get the hardback,
they don't have to.
here's a cheaper option. And I
Yeah,
wanted something that I could take to local game stores and say, "Hey, I know it's tough for you right now. If you're willing to buy a couple copies, I can sell it to them for a pretty low rate." You
right,
know, and not necessarily make a huge profit off it. That wasn't my goal. My goal was to
right.
create something that people can tell stories with. And, with a relatively simple rule system that's easy to pick up and a lot of depth in terms of developing your character, but not so much depth that it's so complicated that you're,
Right.
paralyzed by the decision making. You know,
Analysis paralysis. But I mean,
exactly.
you've got room for splat books though.
Yes.
I
And,
mean, just
if it
arbitrarily it
goes that
takes off. Yeah.
yeah, if it goes that way, that'd be great. I
Yeah.
hope we find an
Well,
audience. I hope
you
people
gotta do
follow.
a bestiary. You have to. I mean,
Oh yeah, there's a good bestiary in the book, but I love it bestiary. That's my favorite
yes,
part of a game.
exactly.
It that's the fun to me. It's like I actually said to one of my friends who we were talking about the book, and I'm doing layout right now. I'm kind of getting ahead of the curve. We're in editing and layout, so I want to have the book. We have a date listed, but I would love to really kind of drop it in
beat it.
people's hands a
Oh,
lot
that
earlier than intended.
nothing makes, as an addicted Kickstarter guy, nothing makes me happier than to get the book sooner, to get that
Yeah,
email that says, "Hey,
yeah.
FedEx has your package." What? What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's kind of what my hope is with this. But also, like I was saying, as I'm laying out, I'm in the monster section, which is the last part of the book, and I'm like, hmm. it'd be nice to add, well, maybe I need another one of these here. Maybe I need this
Right.
here. Or, well, this there's kind of a
Well,
break.
remember, as a creator, you are your worst
Yeah.
enemy and your worst
Oh,
critic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That, like I said, I had to have my friends had to have an intervention at one point because I'm there like I gotta tweak this or I gotta do
I
this or
gotta
I'm
do
gonna add
this.
this
I
and they're
gotta tighten up
like,
this section. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
Surprised they
point
didn't
where
like strap me
you
to a
have to let
chair.
the
Yeah.
baby walk, right? You have to,
Yeah.
you can go, fly, be free. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And it's so how are you finding the Kickstarter process? I mean, are you sitting there refreshing the page every 5 minutes, or
Yes.
are you
I've gotten to the point now. It funded and like I said, it funded relatively quickly.
so most of the pressure is off?
Yes, the
Yeah,
game will
because it's funded.
exist.
You're yeah, you know it's going to happen. Now it's just a matter of how much, how fast,
Right.
which is awesome. I'm
Yeah, I will say this is which is why I appreciate you talking about it too, because I'll tell you, the hardest part is letting people know about it. Because there
yeah.
is, I am not a celebrity. I'm not a Monty Cook. I have a
What, you're not?
small audience. I know.
I have
I
to
have a
end this.
small
Hang up.
audience. Sorry. Wait, clearly, as you have a copy of my other book behind you. I have people who know what I've written. I have people who have enjoyed what I've written. Um, but even then, those are small press games.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's it's not something that who they have any recollection of who we are. And some of us, to be honest, I have a lot of books in my library. I can probably tell you the author of 5 of them,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
because
because that's not what we look at, right? We look
no,
at the
no.
pretty pictures, we look at the mechanics, we look at the
Yes.
phrasing, or the sentence
Yeah.
structure. I find myself, because I have such a library, I I will pick out a book and I will just go through it looking for spelling errors. That's all I'm doing. I'm scanning every page to see
So
how many spelling.
I'll be sending you my book then. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest, man, that's something that, I've already talked to Jason about is the idea of like, typically you drop the PDF first.
Mhm.
And that's kind of one of the reasons, is that I want to let the PDF sit there for like a month or so. So I see on message boards and I see in things, like, wow, on page 33 in paragraph 2, you accidentally have 2 periods there and this and that. Not
Yeah.
that's great. I have an editor working on it, but the best
I
editors are
so
sometimes
the company Two Little Mice, they're
Mhm.
out of
Yep.
Italy. Great
Out,
guys.
outgunned. Love outgunned.
Outgunned, yeah, and I, of course, backed Outgun Supers at
Yes.
the, "Oh my god, stupid" level. If my wife finds out, I will die.
Yes.
Yeah, that level. Uh, and one of the things they did, and I love it when companies do this, is they sent the PDF and they said, "We made this game for us because we're fans
Hmm.
of Marvel and DC." And you can look through that PDF and you can see, oh, there's Iron Man,
Yeah.
there's Thor, there's
Yeah.
Batman, there's the Flash. It's they're not even trying to hide it,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's Pepper Potts in the Iron Man armor, but it's a
Mm.
slightly different, it's a brunette instead of a redhead.
Yep.
But they said this is our homage to the superhero genre, but we made this game for you guys. So
Yeah.
read it, break it, tear it apart, break it
Hmm.
down, and then here's a Google Docs, put the page number, put what
Yep.
the paragraph is, cut and paste it, and we're gonna make this, and then we're gonna cut it off at this date. So, and then they periodically, I think it's about every 2 weeks, they send a message out saying, hey, don't forget to update the doc if you find any errors. They just
Yep.
updated the document, I think, a week ago. So, and they sent out the first adventure, which again was really what I kind of really like the adventure. So
Mhm.
that's another one, that a company's doing it right. They're putting it in the hands of the buyers and say, look, we're just
Yep.
facilitating this. You guys are going to help us make the best supers game that we
Yeah.
can make.
I was
And they
very
have experience because they did all of the outgun stuff and the
yeah, and
action,
I think what they just had one that just dropped. I can't remember the name of it.
the
It's it,
fantasy
it,
one.
it it's like very heavily, obviously inspired by Legend of Zelda,
Yes,
like and
extremely.
like Final Fantasy and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I'm like,
It's
I'm surprised, like,
really
the Zelda guys didn't call them, like, call Nintendo and say, "Hey,
yeah. Don't
our
mess with
lawyers
Nintendo.
are gonna be in touch," you know?
Well, I can't say anything because I'll be honest. Like I was heavily playing the recent Switch Zelda games when I was writing Scale Mail, so there might be some influences
Is
from
there a princess that we have to go rescue?
no. No, there's actually in the starter adventure, there's kind of technically a prince who you have to
A
go
prince.
rescue.
Well, hey, they need rescuing too.
But yeah, but you know, like the damage system, the hit point system is hearts,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
it's
like that.
kind of yeah, and that was kind of part of the whole thing. And you know, there's a whole thing with this fog called the murk, and that's part of the background of the setting where this fog has been seeping up from the southern lands, and it just brings despair with anything that anyone that comes into it. They just lose all hope. And you know, part of what it does as it got more powerful is that it creates creatures called the Mercborn, and when the Mercborn die, they explode into purple clouds of smoke and drop a bunch of, you know, whatever stuff they picked up when since they began existing. So it was
Right.
very much like, you know,
Ooh,
I thought
loot
about killing.
goblins.
Yeah, I was thinking like moblins from,
Pinatas.
you know, from
Yeah.
like Zelda, where it
Yeah.
literally is, you know, they drop some rupees, you know, because
Hey, there's, that is the sincerest form of flattery, right?
yes, yeah,
I
so
think that's super cool. What was it? Have you looked at or any experience with Fabula Ultima?
mhm, yep, we actually are kind of playing a Fabula Ultima campaign right now.
Nice.
Yeah,
I got to
my
meet
friend is
Nick. What I forgot the lead guy's name. I think he's Spanish.
mhm,
Oh, yeah, the books are. I have all of the books. I didn't back the Kickstarter because I already have all of the books.
yeah,
And the Kickstarter is not giving us anything new, except a new format. They're cleaning up, but I'm like, everything I need is on an errata sheet,
mhm,
and the book is so clean, and I
yeah,
love the design and the layout. And of course, they got the original Japanese artist that did whatever. I mean, so I kind of kick myself for not backing it, but I have to put a stop somewhere,
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was just
Our
like,
wives are only so tolerant of us.
right. And I'm like, I already own all of the books. They're not putting out new books. All they're doing is a few different form factors. And
Yeah,
I don't need another copy of the same game. And I love the
yes.
digest size. I love, what is the size of Scale Mail? What is it going to be?
It's going to be a full-size book. It's gonna be
Full
like a
size?
US paper size. Yeah,
Cool.
I debated a digest size, but, it's kind of one of those things. It's an interesting this is kind of a behind the scenes thing. It was cheaper to print a US letter book than it was to do a digest size because the page count in the digest size would have been much because I mean,
Right.
really realistically, and you as somebody who is a grog nerd like me, you know, if you know, I'm sitting here with my glasses off, like squinting at like, you know, text of something, you know, yeah. So
They're handy,
it was one
trust
of those
me.
things. Yeah, with the font size I need, you know, to make it like it would have been single column, and that immediately doubles your page count almost.
Right. And
Plus art, plus all the other
there
stuff.
is a fine art to publishing, and there is a design. There
Mhm.
are 100,000 books on publishing and design
Yes.
layout and what the public will tolerate and what they won't tolerate. And game books is one of those, is that industry where you can get away with some of that weirdness of designing books. Like I
Yeah.
remember is it Carbon Gray? Yeah, Carbon Gray, the company
Mhm.
that produced Carbon Gray, which started out as a graphic novel and got turned into an RPG. It has rounded corners
Yeah.
on all the books, and everyone was like,
And I love yeah.
you know, and it's
Well, I
beautiful.
think
The
even
book looks amazing, but I'm sure it wasn't cheap, and
I
that's why the game's dead now. I mean, you can find it in the discount bin for $5.
yeah.
I think it was
And
Carbon Gray. Is it Carbon Gray?
I that's what I'm trying to think because I think there's something
Oh,
weird
I
about that
have it
book is
right here.
yeah.
Yeah, Carbon Gray. Uh, I have more. I have so many games, but look at those look at those corners. They're just
Yeah.
beautiful. And
It
I
is.
mean, it's a nice texture. It's a beautiful. It was a graphic novel. And I have
Mhm.
one of my Patreon members sent, because I did a review of this, and I mean, the book is absolutely beautiful. It's laid out
Mhm.
really well. And he's like, if you like that, you'll love the graphic novel. So he sent me a copy of the graphic novel, and it has the rounded corners. And this was done by
Yeah.
Magnetic Play, is the company, and it's using
Yeah.
West End Games, a variant of West End Games D6 system. And I have a running
Mm.
joke on my channel that I hate D6 games because I kind of do.
Yeah.
But there's a
We played a
bunch
lot
that
of
I
decent
do like. But yeah, it's a great layout, great design, great quality of the book. It lays flat, you know. I mean, they did a great
Yeah.
job banging this book out. Problem is, just never took off, you know. And
No, and
a lot of
there,
people criticized it for the round corners. I'm like,
which is a
it's,
weird
you
thing
know,
to
they don't get
criticize.
dinged up when you mail it to somebody.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, there was a lot of discussion between Jason and I about the book size and about everything else, and it just kind of worked. You know, most of my books are U.S. letter. You know, I personally like a digest size book, but
Me too.
it just didn't kind of work out that way with this because, like, and that's what I mean. Like, it was an interesting behind the scenes thing. Yeah,
I
where
mean,
it was literally doubling my printing costs, or not doubling, but
and you know,
increasing my printing costs a lot.
a small publisher, you have to
Yes,
seriously look at that bottom line. You know,
right,
you can't say, "Oh, well, I'm going to eat that because I know the next book is going to sell." You know, like Monty
right,
Cook or Paizo or somebody can do. You know, and Paizo doesn't do the digest size until they run out of their first print run of their series,
yes,
so they know that. And that's smart marketing and business acumen. You know.
right,
Another favorite game, by the way, The Dark Eye, or Das
mhm,
Schwag, if you're German.
yes,
A great game. Ulysses Spiel, great company.
yes, they are.
Love their products. Although they've been real quiet lately. But yeah, so you got the Kickstarter going. You've
Kickstarter's
done
going.
you've done Destined. You've done some other things. What do you see on the horizon?
I can't go into details, but there might be another Destin book, which is on the horizon shortly. Um, may have already been written in the editing phase right now.
May
So
have. Not saying it is. We may have.
I can't say I have plausible deniability.
Right.
So
No one
honestly,
watches this channel, so you're okay.
nah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm sure they'll announce it soon. But yeah, so that was something, it kind of filled in. Destin was a very interesting story because there were, stipulations when we wrote it as far as the power level that it covered. And I had rules for more power
Everything.
levels. Yeah.
So just so people know, this is more Batman, U.S. agent,
Yeah, it's
slightly
the
more
actual.
power, Green Arrow.
You could
Uh,
do
you could do
technically. You could do like a Green Lantern. You can technically do a Flash. I mean, you could do a low powered Superman.
right,
Um,
but it's not
so
the norm. It's not really what. That's the
the
feel I got from it.
Yes, the original actual discussion, and we kind of had to went back and forth. This was the original power level suggested by the publisher was Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk, and I was like,
No
well,
one's gonna play that.
see, there were. I mean, I can't think of the name of it. There was a really good street level superheroes game. I can't remember the name of it. Unfortunately, it was like more vigilantes with like low power level, and that's kind of, we kind of like, went back and forth, and then kind of got to the point where I said, well, what about like Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Flash, and they were like, yeah, okay, yeah. So we did that. So there were a lot of notes about, what would happen, or how we could do your Superman,
Yeah,
your Thor,
right.
your big gun heroes. So that's might be involved in the next book,
But we're not. We can't. We can't. We're
but
not
we
sure.
can't really say for sure.
Talk about that. Shh.
No. So,
Mum's the word. No,
but
that's awesome. So I think what you should do though is you should make sure a certain YouTube channel gets a copy so they can
you
review it.
will. Yeah,
That
you absolutely will.
well, that
Well,
was not
you'll
subtle at all. What he
yeah,
will.
you
Okay,
might get you might get a copy
easy.
of Scammail too. That's
Yeah.
so.
Well, I
But
already
yeah,
backed that, so I
I know,
mean,
but
yeah,
yeah, I
I was
appreciate that. But
happy to back it, man. When I see a small
thank you.
press indie press guy, I got to jump on it. So,
Yeah, I
and
hope
Jason
people.
said really nice things about you. So
I appreciate it.
clearly
That's good.
you're a jerk. So
Yeah, well, what he's a bad judge of character.
yeah,
Um,
total. I mean, look, he likes me, so there you go.
I- but you're very likable. It's the beard. So
It is. It makes me jolly, I think. Yeah.
it's the beard and the hair. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good combination. So,
What did my wife
but
say?
yeah,
My wife always jokes when I'm just under 5'11", and
yeah,
at my heaviest I was 320 pounds, but I'm around 230 now. But my wife always jokes about because I look like an angry biker when I'm just walking down the street, and my wife goes,
yeah.
"You scare people." And I'm like, "I am the biggest teddy bear in the world." And so we're walking towards Duluth Trading in downtown Duluth, the clothing store. And this old couple came out, and the woman, I mean, they were probably in their 70s, if not maybe older. And the lady looked up, and I had my hair down, and I have a lot of hair. My hair was down. It was a windy day, and and so I'm walking, and the lady looks at me, and I shit you not, she grabs her husband's arm and she ushers him across. They walked across the street and then went down. And my wife didn't miss a beat. She goes, "See, I told you.
Yeah.
Shave the beard. You look like an axe murderer." And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. So
see, I'm like, if I'm hitting 5'5", I'm lucky. So people just like follow me, hoping to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So
there you go. Well, Mickey from Polyhedral Nights. So I picked him up at the airport last year at the Minneapolis airport. We've talked on Discord and everything, but he didn't have any judge size of character or anything. So he comes out of the terminal, and I'm standing there, and I just go to give him a big hug, and he goes, "Oh shit, you're a biggin." Because he's like 5'6", 5'7" on a good day, and he's like, "Oh shit, you're a big guy," and I'm like, "I am not. I live in Minnesota. I'm tiny."
Yeah,
These Minnesota boys are big. But every one of I have 5 guys in my gaming group, and every single one of them is bigger than me.
Nice. Yeah. See, I had a good friend for a long time. He was 6'10".
Oh my God.
We were like, you're old
Lurch.
enough. We were like Mr. Rourke and Tattoo from Fantasy Island. It was
That's
just
hilarious.
I'm generally not self-conscious about my height, but when I was standing next to him, I'm like, I'm very small.
I have a good friend. His name's Darren. We call him D-Train. He's 6'6".
Wow.
And he's a big boy. He's a giant. He's a gentle giant. He's very funny guy. But all right, man. We're coming up on the limit. I have a couple of questions here I love to ask everyone who I interview. So the first one is, and these are in no particular order, so I always jump them around. You're on an airplane. You're taking a flight, and the plane is going down. It's going to crash land on an island. You're going to be the only person there. The only thing you're going to have is your backpack, your clutch, your suitcase, whatever you want to call it. And it has one role-playing game in it. What is it?
Savage Rolls.
Good man. Good answer. All right. Question number 2. What's the one game that you've read it, you've played it, or you want to read it, you want to play it, and you look at it and you go, shit, I wish I would have wrote that?
Ooh, that's a good one. Actually, it goes back to what we were talking about before we started this, Deadlands. I love I just love the concept behind it. The whole I think, since then there's been some Weird West stuff that's come out, but nothing kind of beats Deadlands.
Nothing beats Deadlands. It is solid.
I mean,
have you tried Weird Frontiers? DCC derivative, David Beatty?
No, I did not know that
do yourself a favor. Go check. If you like DCC, I do. I have the collector's edition right there behind the candle.
I can tell you elements of DCC kind of inspired a couple things in scale.
Well, it's got to, because DCC is a phenomenal game.
It is
great to run at conventions. But check out Weird Frontiers, David Beatty.
Thank you. Yeah,
he's real good friends with all the guys at the parent company of DCC. I can't think of the name right now. But he knows all those guys, and they helped him produce it and everything. The book is 900 pages, by the way. Yikes. But he's got a second edition out that he broke it into 2 different parts.
That's like Hero System level of
right. Yeah, the thing is a tome, and it's got a nice leather cover. If you I have it over there. When we're offline, I'll show it to you. But anyway, check it out. You'll love it if you're a fan. If you love Deadlands, you will love Weird Frontiers. You can play a luchador.
That's a story. I don't want to get into. I don't want to take. I know you're running out of time. We'll talk about that offline. It's a good story.
You can play a Hexbilly, which is a hillbilly. The hillbilly, and you have your mason jar, your jug, and that's where your hoodoo is in. You hit the hooch to cast spells. Oh, it's amazing. It is and it's in DCC style, so you're using all the funky dice. Oh man, you got to try it. Dave is he's a firefighter in real life. He's a really great guy. Yeah, he's a super nice guy. Anyway, third and last question. Anybody in the world, famous, not famous, notorious, not notorious, living or dead, who would you love to sit down with and play a game?
Stephen Colbert.
I think
That-
that would be cool.
Take aside your politics and anything else that goes you might have associated with Colbert, but he's extraordinarily intelligent. He's like considered to be one of the best Tolkien scholars in maybe the world. He's
And a
funny.
D&D fan.
And if you've seen him, because he did a couple charity D&D games.
Yes, he did.
with
Red
Matt
Nose
Mercer.
Diaries, and he did.
I
He
think,
had Joe Manganiello, and they
yep.
were talking the whole Forgotten Realm stuff. And yeah, he knows his
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
feel like
fan.
he's somebody. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, dead unfortunately, Robin Williams, who was also kind of a big fantasy nerd and
Big nerd.
a big
I
gamer.
lived in the Bay Area at the same time he was there.
Oh, nice.
And I ran into him in one of the game stores, and I
Mhm.
didn't, it's a tragedy how he passed and everything, but that's typical of a lot of comedians. They have, a lot
They're
of
some of the most
trauma.
depressed people. They
And so
struggle
I
a
did
lot.
not want to fanboy over him, but I was just like, I saw him and I gave him a head nod, and he gave me a head nod. And so it was
Yeah.
like, cool. So,
See, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
so cool.
But,
All right, my friend.
yeah.
Make sure I already have the link to the Kickstarter. I'll put it in the show
Thank you.
notes.
Appreciate that.
Do you have a website yet?
Just
Or are
be
you
Earl of Fife Games.
piggybacking off of Earl of Fifes? Okay,
Yeah,
so
everything's gonna be Earl of Fifes at this point. So,
Facebook. You're on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. I do not have a website on Facebook yet.
Okay, for your company. All right.
That will happen at some point.
Make sure you give me a link.
I will.
I tell you what, we'll do what I do with everybody. Send me in Discord a PM with all your contact stuff that you want people to have, and then I will put that in the show notes of this video. This will go live Saturday morning, because I got to give the YouTube algorithm, and then you have my permission to post this wherever you like. Look what this jerk did. He made me look ugly. Whatever. Can you believe this knucklehead interviewed me? Post it, share it, use it for whatever you want. It is my
I can't believe
pleasure.
I tricked him into interviewing me. So
I know, right? He still thinks the check is in the mail.
I didn't even make a game.
Yeah. Just say you make a game to get an interview. It's great. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Mike.
Thank you too. I appreciate it.
We have at the start of a beautiful new relationship.
I agree.
I'm the big spoon.
I'm glad Jason made our acquaintance. So
yeah, Jason, he's introduced me to a couple of people, and then real quick though, I did see that another friend of mine, Ariel Levine, he did Just Roll With It. It's a journaling RPG that just came out.
Yes.
He sent me a free review copy, but he reached out. Don't forget that there's the Help Pub channel on my channel. So like if you need help with distribution, Stephen Turner from Britannia Games, Castles and Chivalry and Sorcery, great guy, European, has all the distribution, runs a gaming warehouse where he
nice.
Yes, so if you need help with that and getting stuff overseas, he might be able to provide some assistance. So definitely reach out on the channel there, in that Help Pub channel, and say, is there anybody, whatever you need help with, because you've got Jason. You've got Jason, and he's a rock solid, but he
is, but
more rounds in the 6-shooter always help, right?
It does. So
it does. Well, Mike, it was a pleasure, sir. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Talking to you too.
Thanks for being a part of the channel. I like to do a follow-up after the Kickstarter. Once everybody gets their rewards, we'll do a follow-up interview, and we'll just talk about how everything went, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Friend,
Have a good night.
You too, man. You go ahead and turn your mic off, and we'll end the recording, and then I'll talk to you when we're done. Everyone out there, this will be up on YouTube Saturday morning about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. As always, peace and hair grease. And remember, go check out Mike's Kickstarter. And Mr. Mean says, be nice.